joy, peace, tranquility, vibrancy, and wellness. Isn't this what you want instead of constant stress? That's what host Rochelle Lawson is going to help you with on Blissful Living. There are many ways to reduce stress, some you may not even know about. Doesn't a little peace and tranquility sound like just what you've been looking for? Relax for a few minutes with Rochelle. She's the queen of feeling fabulous.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Blissful Living. This is the Queen of Feeling Fabulous, Rochelle Marie Lawson, and I want to welcome you to today's show. I have a guest today that is going to just give us a wealth of information. Some of these things is going to surprise you about our health and well-being, but as you know that I always say the greatest asset that we have on earth and that we really have control over on earth here within our realm, within our own little unique realm, is our health and well-being. That is the greatest asset that we have. And without health and well-being, no matter what you want to do, if you're not healthy and well, you're not going to be able to do it fulfilling and successfully. You may start off and you may think you're doing it, but just lo and behold, know that if you're not fully healthy and well, something's going to come up. Some illness is going to manifest itself. Some disease process is going to take place, and it's going to take you away from what you want to do, and you won't be able to be 100% with regards to that. So I'm always preaching over and over and over again to people that the greatest asset you have is not what's in your bank account. It's not the car you drive. It's not the house you live in. It's not the job you have. It's not the outside successes of your body. It is your health and well-being. And so before we get started on today's show, I just want to say that I have a wonderful doctor, Dr. Kajiki, who's going to share with us some wonderful things. But I want to thank our sponsors for today's segment, the Health, Healing, and Wellness Company. Please check them out. They have some phenomenal things. If you're interested in natural healing, holistic health and well-being, you want to improve your energy, you're having sleep issues, you want to know more about how to incorporate, natural abundance into your health and well-being. You want to optimize your health and well-being. You want to manage your weight, whatever the case you want to do with regards to your health and well-being and getting things corrected and in checked and balanced. Check out the Health Healing Wellness Company at healthhealingwellness.com. And then our other sponsor of today's segment is All Day Cable Incorporated. It is a telecommunications installation company going on their 26th year of business here in California. They've serviced all kind of clients throughout the state of California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Illinois, and Michigan, as well as New York and some other East Coast states. If you have a need or you know a company that's looking for a really good telecommunications installation company, whether they have issues with voice, data, fiber optic, or wireless systems, access to, their speaker systems, their electronic passenger display signs or electronic sign displays, or whatever the case may be with regards to telecommunications, then you want to check out All Day Cable Inc.com. Again, that's All Day Cable, I-N like Nancy, C.com. Okay, so let's get started with today's show. Let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. Dr. Gil Kajiki is a physician, duh, thus the name doctor, but he is the founder of the Valley Thyroid Institute. Now, he graduated from Pasadena College of Chiropractic and has been a chiropractor for over 30 years. The main focus of his practice is thyroid and autoimmune conditions. And how many people out there listening do you know someone that's suffering from an autoimmune disease, whether it's lupus, it's rheumatoid arthritis, or some other type of MS or some other type of autoimmune disease? We all know someone that's suffering from an autoimmune disease. Now, Dr. Kajiki, through his work with his patients, he developed the Kajiki protocol for determining thyroid and autoimmune issues with a particular concentration on Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Okay. And I know these might be a little complex words for you guys, but we'll break it down. trust me, we'll break it down. He offers his patients answers and protocols to improve their thyroid function and overall health. And with his roots in chiropractic biophysics, Dr. Kajiki was really busy helping people and his clients, patients in the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. That's where my daughter lives, with their spiritual structure corrective care when his wife became ill what was first appearing to be the Epstein-Barr disease. And as he watched his wife's health deteriorate under the care of several doctors, I can be witness to some of that kind of stuff, Dr. Kajiki began a relentless search for answers as to why his healthy wife could become so ill and no one seemed to know how to care for her. I can totally relate to that. After more than 2 years of tests, medication, B12 shots, and finally hospitalization, it was her husband and not her medical providers that came to the rescue. I can so relate to that. So after his countless hours of studies, consultations with colleagues, and testing, Dr. Kajiki diagnosed his wife with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, an autoimmune condition that attacks the thyroid. He spent the next several months treating her autoimmune condition through natural supplements, lifestyle modifications, and dietary changes. She is now symptom-free, and she doesn't take any thyroid medication. And so with that, my friends, that's a wonderful introduction leading into what we're going to be talking about with Dr. Kajiki as to, worldwide Hashimoto's and low thyroid and how you may be able to treat those in a non-pharmaceutical way, but with what Dr. Kajiki may be having to offer. So welcome to the show, Dr. Kajiki. It's wonderful to have you. As a healthcare professional myself, I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, and anybody knows me that listens to this show or have ever seen me speak, knows that I am not a fan of pharmaceuticals. I really am into holistic and natural medicine. And the funny thing is that in my career as a registered nurse working as an ER trauma gal, I had to use pharmaceuticals to, of course, help my patients have a better outcome in the emergency department or in the emergency setting. But for a day-to-day routine with medications, I've also seen the good, the bad, and the very, very ugly with pharmaceuticals. And so I'm not really a fan. And the fact that we kind of have similar stories where I suffered from a medical condition for 17 years, went to numerous doctors who prescribed everything but could never tell me what I had, could never diagnose what I had. But they were so quick to prescribe me with some medication that may correct this, but was going to jack up something else. And so, of course, as I got older and got more in control of my own health and well-being, I negated from all of that and went the natural path and was able to heal myself in 9 months after suffering 17 years just by utilizing holistic and natural remedies. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to share with us today. So I'm going to just jump in. Tell us about how you felt when you saw your wife suffering and how that motivated you to get on this path today. Because I know when you have someone that's very dear and near to you and to see them suffering can be very challenging, especially when you're doing the right thing by taking them to the doctors and they're not getting any better, but they're actually getting worse.
Right. It was extremely frustrating because, as a chiropractor, and I just did mostly musculoskeletal, I knew just enough to know when something wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you do have to have trust in your doctor, trust that they're doing the right thing. But, after 2 years and multiple doctors and multiple lab tests, what I finally realized is that there's no way, and I mean there's no way, your lab test could be normal and you still feel lousy. And that complaint happens so often. I get that complaint so often from I'm sure your listeners. There's no way your lab test could be normal and you still feel lousy.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way. And then, so what happens is they try to then blame it on you.
Right.
Saying, you're imagining it, or you're exaggerating it, or you just have a lot of stress. And so, of course, you start becoming depressed because nobody believes you.
Right.
As a thyroid, you look fine on the outside, but you feel crappy on the inside. And so you start getting depressed. And so now you want antidepressant medication, or you tell them that depression is part of the issue, which is part of thyroid itself. And so now they're giving you antidepressants, and now you're just in a tailspin of medication that's not doing any good.
Right.
And so I realized that. So I could tell your listeners this. If your lab tests are normal and you still feel lousy, it's not you. It's because the doctors are either doing the wrong media of testing. They're not doing stool, saliva, urine. They're just doing blood. They're not doing enough tests. They typically only do 2 or 3 of the thyroid tests out of the 11 possible tests you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And they're reading them wrong. The TSH lab ranges are different from lab to lab and region to region and state to state. So they're reading the tests wrong. They're telling you you have normal TSH when you probably do not have normal TSH. And from realizing that, I realized that I had to take matters into my own hands, and I started studying natural medicine, and I chose functional medicine. And when I found out she had Hashimoto's, I went to the doctor with the lab test, and I said, I know what she has. She has Hashimoto's. I said, so we know what it is now. And he says, you're right. She has Hashimoto's. Great, good for you. You know, congratulations. I said, wait, what are we going to do? And he says, well, we're going to put her on medication. I said, well, why would you treat the thyroid when the immune system is the problem
Right.
that's back in thyroid? That doesn't make sense. Well, that's how we treat it. And I realized at that moment that if you're going to go to traditional medicine, your choices for treatment are medication, radiation, and surgery. And that is it. And if that doesn't work, you have to find another healthcare model to do it.
Wow. I can so relate to what you're saying. It's amazing. And I've seen it. I've experienced it myself. I experienced with my mom who has rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. And then I've seen it happen to patients when I was in the clinical setting. And the thing about it is when you come in with a wealth of information that you've done, to be your best advocate or the best advocate for someone you love and care about, the doctors don't want to hear that. Because they take it personal as that you're attacking them and that they're wrong, and you're not. But you have to be, and I'm telling you guys right now, all of you out there listening, you need to be extremely assertive, almost to the point of being aggressive when it comes to managing your health and well-being, because no one's going to be your best advocate but you. So if you're getting answers out there that don't make sense, like he says, they're not doing the right test, or they're doing a fraction of the test, demand it. You pay good money for your health care insurance. You demand the best care possible. So don't just let them tell you something, give you some prescriptions and send you on your way and hope that works, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So, this is very interesting, and your wife is doing great now, correct?
Now, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously she gets very close management.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I watch over her like a hawk. I watch her diet and I watch her supplements, and I mean, the reason why though she's still asymptomatic after 12, 15 years is because I do frequent lab testing. Okay, Hashimoto's is not something you just fix and it's like a broken bone, it heals. You have to manage it. Your autoimmune conditions will never be cured, but they can be managed and controlled. And you have to manage it. And the only way properly to manage it is to do frequent lab tests. So you're watching over her thyroid function, you're watching over her adrenals, you're watching over her hormone imbalance, you're watching over her gastrointestinal dysfunction, you're watching over her immune system, you're watching over the anemia. You can't do it without the lab tests.
Right.
And you need somebody out there who knows how to do the lab tests, how to read the lab tests, which ones to do.
Beautiful. And we're gonna share more about, that information with you guys. So continue to listen, because it's gonna blow your mind with regards to what Dr. Kajiki has to share. Now, this is a classic time of year when people, go to, I'm going to lose weight, and you see the gyms that, get filled. You go in there, you can't even get your favorite machine because you got all these people that are in here for their New Year's resolutions that are, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to try to lose weight, or whatever the case may be. Yet, as often as these people try and give it their might, it just doesn't come off. Okay. Yeah. And me and both, there could be some other extenuating factors, but I want to ask you, Could a lot of these people's problem be related to a problem with their thyroid?
Yes, it absolutely could. And I think where you need to start if you're having stubborn weight loss is this, is you need to find why you can't lose weight. Okay, losing weight and excess weight is not the problem. There are problems causing the excess weight and inability to lose weight. I think too many people are focused on the pounds on a scale and not the reasons why they're not losing weight. All right? I tell people, look, if you're just concerned about losing 10 pounds, okay, you don't care how you lose it, chop off your arm. Okay? You'll lose 10 pounds instantly. But that sounds ridiculous, but when you tell me I don't care how I lose the weight, I just want to lose 10 pounds, you might as well just do that. Because if you're not finding the root cause of why you can't lose weight, you're either going to get it back or you're not going to lose it. Right? And thyroid could be one of those problems. Your thyroid controls your entire metabolism in your body. Right? So it's the only gland in the body that every cell in your body has a thyroid receptor site. It's like a little garage for the thyroid hormone. And so when your thyroid gland starts to malfunction, then your entire body starts to malfunction. You can't process carbohydrates right. You can't digest food right. You have gastrointestinal problems. You have adrenal gland dysfunction, which will cause cortisol problems, which cause women to have belly fat. So all these different dysfunctions occur maybe because of the thyroid.
Oh.
And vice versa. It could be that you have a thyroid problem and it causes the adrenal problem, or you have an adrenal problem and causes the thyroid problem. So you got to get to the root cause. You can't just be focused on the pounds.
So now, what would you say to someone that is like listening to this and they're like, I'm not really understanding how I can get to the root cause? How would you guide them with regards to discovering, like, I've been trying to lose weight, or I'm having issues losing weight, and I don't know, I don't know how I can even begin to discover what the root cause of my problem is, because it's got to be more than just, me.
Right. Now, well, the first place I would start is it could be your thyroid. If you haven't investigated, it could be your thyroid. And if you do decide to get your thyroid checked out, don't get 3 out of 11 tests. Get 11 out of your 11 tests. And if you go to my website, valleythyroidinstitute.com, you can download a free thyroid report that tells you all the tests that we look for in a thyroid dysfunction problem. And I treat all over the world and all over the country, so you don't even have to go to your own doctor. You can actually consult with me through the phone and get that information. But check out your thyroid.
So you would definitely say for someone, that has been having this struggle, the first thing you should do is to, have your thyroid tested.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good first step. I don't know if it's the first thing you should do, but you can get that done while you're doing other things. And the other thing I would do is use your common sense. Okay, common sense goes a long way with health. Okay, but you can't let your emotions get in the way of your common sense. So what do I mean by that is if you're drinking alcohol, forget trying to lose weight. It ain't going to happen. Oh, yeah, but a glass of wine is not, I heard it's good for you. You're right, it is good for you, but it's horrible for weight loss. It's all sugar. Okay, you've got to stop the alcohol if you're trying to lose weight. I mean, that's common sense, but people don't want to do it. Okay, you got to cut out the carbs, and I don't mean all carbs, but I mean the processed carbs, the stuff that comes in packages with ingredient labels longer than a paragraph, right? Get the stuff that doesn't come with a label, like a zucchini and a cucumber and a head of lettuce, right? So cut out the processed foods, right? Don't skip meals. If you skip meals, your body goes into starvation mode, and it thinks that it doesn't know when it's going to get its next meal, so you think it's going to let go of the fat when it doesn't know when its next meal is going to come? No way. It's going to hold on to it. So you can't skip meals. Have small, frequent meals that are low carb or no carb, and put in some kind of a protein with it. And here's another myth. You do not need to exercise to lose weight. Okay? That is a myth. None of my patients, when you go on my website, you'll see over 100 different testimonials. Some people have lost 50 pounds, 40 pounds, 10 pounds, 25 pounds. Not one person was required to exercise. Now, you do have to exercise to maintain your weight loss, but you do not have to exercise to lose weight. That's where I would start.
Wow. So did you guys hear that? He just said he just gave some nuggets of gold right there. But the precursor, or the one that I want to bring up is the exercise thing, because everybody, like I said, you'll see at the beginning of the year, everybody's in the gym and they got this resolution. I'm going to lose 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 pounds, and they're in the gym. But by the time March comes, they're done because it's not something that they really do, and it's not in their routine to exercise. So when they don't see the weight coming off because they continue to eat whatever they want to, fast food, drinking their alcohol, loaded up on carbs, loading their diet up with a bunch of sugar from all kind of various sources, and they're not seeing the results melt off, then they give up. However, Dr. Kajiki is saying if you just do the 5-6 golden nuggets that he just shared, and then once you begin to lose the weight, you can exercise or whatever, incorporate that into your daily plan. You'll have sustainability with your weight loss. But you do not necessarily, he's saying, you do not necessarily need to exercise. And I agree with that. If you are just focused on exercises, but you're not changing anything else in your life, guess what? You may lose a couple pounds, but you're not going to achieve the results that you're desiring. Now, there is we're talking about, there's a lot of talk out there about adrenal fatigue, and you mentioned how it could be in correlation with the thyroid problem. But what if someone is listening to the show and we're talking really about, thyroid and how that has an effect on your immune system? What would be some common signs and symptoms that someone that might be experiencing a thyroid, I like to call them challenge, would see or would experience?
Well, here's the problem with thyroid. Thyroid is the great mimicker. So typical low thyroid symptoms would be fatigue, inability to lose weight, depression, hair loss, dry skin, bloating with meals, digestive problems, insomnia, energy dips during the day, kind of a slow metabolism kind of symptom.
Sounds like menopause.
Menopause, yes. It feels like menopause. However, there are body dysfunctions called triggers. And this is where I separate myself from the most of the crowd. Triggers are body dysfunctions that very closely mimic a thyroid problem, but isn't a thyroid problem. So all those symptoms I mentioned, the fatigue, the weight gain, the depression, brain fog, bloating, that could be thyroid. However, that could also be adrenal gland dysfunction, anemia, gastrointestinal disorders, inflammation, hormone imbalance, food sensitivity. All those triggers could mimic that thyroid problem. And if you go to an endocrinologist, all they're looking at is TSH, free T3, free T4. That's it.
Yep.
They're not looking at your adrenals. They're not looking at your diet. They're not looking at an anemia. They're not looking for hormone imbalance. They're not looking for inflammation. They're not looking for lifestyle changes. All they're looking at is TSH, free T3, free T4, and that is it. And medication alone will not resolve those triggers.
Beautiful. I love how you said that you gave us some signs and symptoms that are pretty, classic with just about anything, right? And how they could be triggers for things, but also how you mentioned to the listeners that your doctor's only going to check for these 3 thyroid hormones, and they're not going to necessarily check for anything or anything associated with the adrenal glands. So you guys out there listening, again, more information for you to arm yourself when you go to your physician to get those 11 thyroid function tests done, as well as have them check some other things, your adrenal glands and other things that will give you a clear picture of what's going on with you, so that you can proceed forward with something that is going to help you be successful with whatever it is with regards to your weight loss goals. Now, I know that they prescribe medication, pharmaceuticals for, whether you have hypothyroid, whether your thyroid is functioning too low, or hyperthyroid, whether it's functioning too fast. What are some other conditions that can be cleared up with regards to when you get an out of balance thyroid back into its natural balance state?
Well, I'm not quite clear I understand your question, I think, but I'll be able to answer it. Here's one of the considerations that I hadn't brought up yet that really needs paying attention to, is that most of the cases of thyroid are low-functioning thyroid or hypothyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it turns out that statistically 70 to 90% of all the cases of low thyroid has an autoimmune component called Hashimoto's. 70 to 90. So I can get 100 of your listeners who have low thyroid function, and I know that 70 to 90% of all those people have Hashimoto's. So they have an autoimmune component where their immune system is attacking and destroying their own thyroid glands, like flesh-eating bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
So their immune system really is the problem, like my wife, and it's attacking their thyroid. So the immune system is throwing the thyroid out of balance. And so when the doctors try to fix an immune system problem by giving thyroid medication, it's not working. And that's why it didn't work in my wife's case, and that's why it doesn't work for many patients, because the endocrinologist is looking at a thyroid medicine to fix an immune system case.
Right.
Well, it just turns out that those triggers that I talked about, the anemia, the adrenal gland dysfunction, hormone imbalance, gastrointestinal issues, sleep sensitivity, those triggers also agitate that immune system and cause that immune system to attack that thyroid. So you could have the triggers, you could have a thyroid problem in itself, and you could have an autoimmune component. So you have a lot of moving parts. It gets very confusing, and the average endocrinologist that does free T3, free T4, and TSH can't handle that. So you have to get the immune system under control. You have to get the triggers resolved, and then you have to see if there's anything left over to work on the thyroid to get that in balance. So you're really, the doctors like me, we work on everything all together, so we don't work on one thing at a time and see what's left over.
Wow. I mean, the information you're sharing is just phenomenal. I'm loving it. I'm just soaking it in. Now, say we have a person out there that is on medication for their thyroid. What is the better medication? Because they have the natural and then they have the synthetic thyroid hormone medication. And what would you say is the better of the two?
Well, I am not licensed to dispense medications, which I'm actually glad about.
Mm-hmm.
But my opinion about it is this, is that there is no one type of medication that's best for everyone. I think one of the mistakes doctors make is they lump the whole population of their practice into one type of therapy or drug. And the fact of the matter is, some people respond better to synthetic. Some people respond better to natural. Right? It's a case-by-case basis. Natural is not better just because it's natural. You may not respond to that natural. Maybe where you get your natural, they have fillers in there that you are sensitive to. They have corn and gluten and a lot of these different medications. And maybe where you get your natural, you're sensitive to corn, so you think the medication's not working, but it's really the corn fillers in there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not necessarily what's better or, it's what works for you. And unfortunately, this is a situation where unless you fix the triggers, and unless you fix the autoimmune component, unless you fix the conversion problems and the thyroid binding globulin problems, you won't know if that medication is really the right one for you or not. And it's going to be a trial and error.
Yeah. Now, do you have any, and I know you don't dispense medication, but do you have any opinion as to, say a person went to their doctor and they've been given a medication for a thyroid condition? What would you say? How long should they be taking the medication? And here's the thing. They're taking the medicine and they're not having any changes. In fact, they may be feeling worse. Or how long would you say a person should take the medication before they go back to their doctor and say, "Hey, we have a problem here"?
Yeah, I would say 6 weeks.
Okay, because there are people they'll give you the prescription and then they send you off, and they don't necessarily have you come back in to see them. They may order lab tests, quote unquote lab tests, in 3 months or maybe 6 months. And you may not see that doctor again for 6 months, but they have you on this regimen of taking this medication.
Right.
And a lot of people will do that even though within the first few weeks they're not feeling well. It's not, it's not making any changes. So thank you for sharing that information, 6 weeks, because I think it's important for people to understand that if something's not working, don't keep doing it. You need to go back and check in and have a check-in and say, hey, this is what's going on.
Right. Like, for example, in my office, one of the problems we find is that doctors don't see their patients often enough.
Exactly.
Right? So you see your doctor once every 3 months or 5 months or 6 months. Well, now you've got a 6-month problem on your hands or a 3-month problem on your hands. Right? So we consult with our patients once every 2 weeks, and we see them for a full 30 minutes with the doctor. Not hour and a half in the office and 5 minutes with the doctor. For a full 30 minutes.
Right.
So our patients get a handle on things right away, right? So at worst, I've got a 2-week problem on my hand, not a 6-month problem.
Right.
So we take care of things right away.
Good, because I think, that I love that, what you're doing, because I know, if they're lucky, if they get 15 minutes. And, if you're a person that just takes the medication and never goes back in and says anything, you may see them in 6 months and you may see them in a year. But again, it's for 15 minutes at the most, maybe 30, but typically it's for 15, 20 minutes. The doctor can't get to know you, and you can't develop a relationship where you're comfortable. Whereas like they come to you, you're seeing them all the time, you're giving them time, and you develop this relationship where you can pick up things about them, or they're comfortable sharing things about what's going on with you, and not feeling that they're imposing upon your time or something like that.
Right.
So,
And I give my patients unlimited email support.
Beautiful.
They can email me anytime they want and not make a phone consultation. I mean, you could do it out of the comfort of your home, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Since you don't have to see me, you could do this by phone, but I allow unlimited email access as a patient. So you could just email me something in the middle of the night because you're not sleeping, and I'll catch it in the morning, and you'll have a response back the next day. Beautiful.
Good information. So you guys out there listening, Dr. Kajiki is really being open to sharing what has been working phenomenally for him and his patients that he take care of. I want to now move a little bit into Kajiki low thyroid protocol. We talked about that when I was introducing you. I shared that information. And can you share with the listeners what it is and what's involved in it?
Yeah. Well, first of all is that the protocol for my patients is different from person to person. It is customized and it's personalized. I don't have one protocol for everyone, which is one of the things that drives me crazy about these doctors that write books. And they say, hey, everyone try this diet, try this supplement, try this, method.
I love it. Go.
I mean, come on. Like, you want to be treated as an individual. Right, so why would you give one type of diet, one type of supplement for everyone? You have to customize and personalize your protocols, and you can't do that unless you get lab tests on that person.
Right.
So you won't ever see me writing a book to say, everyone try this Kajiki protocol, because it's customized, it's personalized. So I personalize each program to each person based on their lab test results. And the lab test results help me get to the root cause of your problem, not just your symptoms. So that's what's different is I dig deep. I do these lab tests to find out what these triggers are. Remember the triggers? The anemia, the adrenal gland dysfunction, the hormone imbalance. So I do these lab tests. I do all 11 lab tests. I do stool, I do blood, I do urine, I do dried urine if necessary. I find the triggers. I create customized protocols for each person with dietary changes. I'll tell you what to eat, what not to eat. I actually have a lab test to tell me that. I'll tell you what kind of nutritional supplements to take based on your lab test results, which will help you remove these triggers that you have. I'll supplement you with vitamins, minerals, and enzymes for any kind of deficiencies you have. I check in with you every 2 weeks, and I retest your labs in 60 to 90 days. So we know people are getting better. I watch them closely, and I retest. So now I have objective markers that show me you actually have a lab test improvement as well as a symptom improvement.
Love it. Thanks. I mean, that's really in depth, and it's very concise, and I like the fact that there's continual follow up. It's not like you just do something and you do it. You know, you do something, implement something for your patient, your client, and then you're always in continual communication with them to recheck and see, is this working? And that's followed up and solidified with, again, taking lab results at certain increments as they're, on their journey to restoring their well-being. So I really, really, really like that. And I like the fact that it's customized. It kind of goes with, what I do with Ayurveda. I always tell people, there may be 15 people in the room with high blood pressure, and they all probably most likely got prescribed the same medication when they were first diagnosed. And they may be on 2 or 3 medications, but some people it's just not working for, and others is doing very little. And the reason being is because we're all unique individuals. How one person's disease process manifested is not going to be like anybody else's because we're unique. And so, when you start, I think people don't understand that, but I think the more people like you or I are out there, explaining this to people, it gives them a wealth of information to help them navigate and manage their health and well-being just a little bit better. I'm out here listening. I'm going to want to go to someone like you who I'm in constant communication with. You're making it very easy for me to be successful with managing my well-being in conjunction with you because you're accessible and I'm seeing you all the time. And that, I think, is beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Now, are you against, people permanently getting off their thyroid medication? What would you just say to someone that just really wants to permanently get off it?
I would say I would agree. I mean, I think the less pharmaceuticals you put in your body, the better. However, if your lab tests say you need it, you need it. Mm-hmm. But unless you manage the autoimmune component, and unless you manage the triggers, and unless you consistently retest, you're not going to know if you can get off of that medication or not. I've actually had some people get off their medication. I've had many people reduce their medication, but they did that through consistent testing and consistent monitoring. Some people, like I said, they have this Hashimoto's, is 70 to 90% of all these hypothyroid cases. That's like a flesh-eating bacteria.
Right.
It destroys your thyroid gland, and that tissue doesn't grow back. So if that tissue doesn't grow back and you've lost so much you can't make your own thyroid hormone, you've got to take medication.
Right.
There's just no way around it, right? I don't like it. I only don't like medication when it doesn't work.
Right.
But when it works, you need it.
Exactly.
So I have to say I'm not against it, but yeah, I would like you to be off of it, but you have to be smart about this. If you need it, you need it, right? And that means you went through so much damage before you finally found me that, hey, right, you have to have it. But let's minimize the dosage.
Like that. Again, another wonderful statement with regards to if you need it, you need it. Because by the time you got to someone like Dr. Kajiki, you're a little bit more damaged than just what the complete natural path could totally do for you. So, words of wisdom for sure for the listeners. Now, what type of patients are the best candidates for the the Kajiki low thyroid protocol treatment plan?
Well, I guess number one, you're actually ready to make a change, and you're willing to do your part. If you just want a pill to fix it all, I'm the wrong doctor. I'm not him. I'm the doctor that wants you to be involved in your care and be an active participant and actually learn from the process so that one day you may not need me. So you have to be active and willing participant. You have to be willing to make some changes. I am going to change your diet. No question about that. Right? And I'm going to change your diet. It's probably not going to be permanently, but I'm going to ask you to do some things that are hurting your care. I'm not going to change those things. So I'm going to ask you to change your diet. You've got to be willing to do that. I'm going to ask you to take several supplements each day. You've got to be willing to do that. Right? And you got to be willing to change your lifestyle. Right? There's some lifestyle habits that these patients have that are really hurting their adrenal glands. And, I hear, I don't have time, I'm too busy, it's not the right timing. Hey, you know what? There's never a good time to change your health, right? Now's the best time. So you got to be willing to make those changes and don't feel like a pill is just going to magically make it all go away. If you're that person, then yeah, you've got the best chance for getting better.
Great. I like that. Basically, they got to take responsibility and really want to make the change. And of course, you guys know, you've been listening to Blissful Living for a while. Change is not always easy. In fact, it's probably one of the most difficult things sometimes we have to face is change, especially when we've had things that we've been doing for a long time and they're just kind of like habit, right? But once you do make the change, it hurts a little bit at first, and then after you do it over and over and over again, it becomes easier and easier, and it feels good, and then pretty soon it's a new good habit that you've developed. But thank you for sharing what type of patients make the best candidates for you, because I think that's important. I don't want people to come to you and be like, can you fix me? But I don't want to do anything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we actually have a little, we do a free 15-minute phone consultation with anybody. So they can go on my website, Valley Thyroid Institute, and go to free consultation. Mm-hmm. And we actually have a 15-minute phone consult to see if you are the right type of person. And it gives the patient a chance to get a feel for me and my philosophy and my style. And it gives me a chance to see if they're a good candidate for care. And I'll ask questions like that. Are you willing to change your diet? And there are some people where I told them, look, you know what, you're not ready for me. I don't accept everyone. I only accept the people who I feel like are going to have a good chance of success. And so that's a good place to start, is that free 15-minute phone consultation.
Great. So, and you guys, again, will share more information about how you can connect with Dr. Kajiki before the show is over. But the free consultation, if you took out a pen and paper while we're talking and have been taking notes, keep that note definitely in mind, because again, we're going to give out that information as to where you can access his website and all of that good stuff. Now, with regards to patients that are suffering from low thyroid challenges, what is involved in the treatment for the symptoms of low thyroid challenges?
Well, as I mentioned, the first thing to do is find out what the root cause is. And the way we figure that out is do lab testing. So once I start getting lab test results, then I could start creating protocols to help remove those triggers and balance that immune system and help with the thyroid problem. So we would do things like we would cut out the inflammatory foods in your diet, like gluten and soy and dairy. We would put you on a protocol where we have consistent blood sugar stability by having you eat multiple times per day instead of 2 or 3 times a day. We would give you very specific herbal supplements to help with the adrenal gland dysfunction or the HPA axis problems that you're having. Maybe having some hormone imbalances because of blood sugar stability problems. So we would have some herbal compounds to help you with that. We look for deficiencies. A lot of times people, they have fatigue, but I can tell you it's not that often an iron anemia. In fact, it's very uncommonly an iron anemia that's causing fatigue. It's many times a food sensitivity or a leaky gut problem. Mm-hmm. So we would give supplements and enzymes and flushes and detoxes to help with your leaky gut. So we basically do dietary, lifestyle, vitamin, mineral, enzyme protocols, and we customize them based on lab test results to help you get over these symptoms of low thyroid.
Like it, very detailed, very, very detailed. What is your success rate with helping people that have come to you with the challenges regarding the low thyroid?
Well, I'm going to put a disclaimer on this and say, if you do what I ask you to do, you've got the best chance of success. And if you do what I ask you to do, our success rate is about high 90s, 97, 98, 95%. If you go to my website, you'll see there's over 100 different video testimonials. And people are willing to put themselves on video to tell you what kind of success they've had because they've been so profoundly affected by that. And so, about high 90s. And I can tell you that some people get 90% better in 2 weeks. Some people feel 80% better in 3 months. Some people feel 50% better in a month. So it varies.
Right.
Follow what I ask you to do, you have the best chance of success. On the average, I can tell you, the average patient, even though they've had their condition for decades, they tend to feel noticeably better in about 6 to 8 weeks.
Not bad.
So
not bad at all.
That's kind of the bar that we shoot for, and then you as the patient will determine how much better you feel like you are. You'll be the one that says, "Hey, what kind of success have I had so far?" And we reevaluate in about 4 months, and then you make that determination about how successful you are.
I like that. I mean, again, it's it could be really a lot for some, and then not as much for others. But no matter what, as long as the person does what you've developed for them to follow, they will feel better.
Yeah.
And I think, anytime that you can feel better, whether 90% or 50% or whatever, just the fact feeling better is so much than not feeling good at all. That is, just a beautiful step forward with, regaining some of the health and well-being that, people deserve. Now, if someone comes to you and they want to work with you, but they're still with, regards going to see and check in with their medical provider, is it possible that they can still work with you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, I'm not a medication hater, right? I only hate if it doesn't work. I can tell you that I know that if you're on medication, I need your practitioner to work with me and go through, help me out with, because I'll help you determine whether I feel like you need new dosing. If you're overdosed or underdosed, I'll help you with that. And I'll arm you with enough information that when you go back to your doctor, you can have a lab test in your hand and say, "Hey, doc, based on the last lab test or this lab test and how I feel like I'm over or under, and could we reconsider our dosage?" And you'll come armed with information.
Right.
And I'm very willing to work with them, and I like to. However, they don't like to work with me. Because as you mentioned, when you come with that information, they kind of feel like you're making them wrong. I could tell you of the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've treated who had medical doctors and went back to the medical doctor and said, "My gosh, I feel so wonderful now. I feel great. My hair's back and my fatigue is gone." Not one of those medical doctors has ever contacted me and said, "My gosh, you got one of my most difficult patients better. I couldn't do it. What are you doing?"
Right.
Not one has ever done that. So that tells me that they really don't care. They really don't. If they cared, they would say, "This guy's doing something. I need to figure out what he's doing, or at least I need to send my difficult patients to him."
Right.
That's not happening.
At least give them a chance. Give them another chance, right? Because after all,
resolve it,
I'm a healthcare professional, and my goal is to, make the patient feel better. But instead, they don't refer to you, because then it's you that's picking the patient. I mean, I hate to sound like that, but that's just reality. And I can say that because I've I worked in that profession. I can say that. I mean, it is what it is. However, I think there are more physicians that are getting more open to, natural and holistic and other kind of medicines that work beyond, the scope of Western medicine. So they're doing a lot of integrative stuff, but it's still just not. It's just a select few. So hopefully that will get better, and you'll start getting lots of referrals and healing people, and helping people to take control of their health and well-being and restoring their natural state of balance.
Yeah. I mean, I send a lot of people. I say, look, we can't get this resolved naturally. You're going to have to go to your doctor and get some medication. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem telling them that because they need it. If they need it, they need it.
Right. But, again, they see you more often. There's more communication. They want to be able to trust you as much as you want to be able to trust them that they're doing the best that they can with their health and well-being. So, it's just a really good feeling, a warm, fuzzy feeling with regards to establishing that type of relationship. Now, you said that you work with people from all around the world. How do you do that?
Well, we've developed these long-distance protocols where people don't have to be in the office. So, I mean, I've got clients in Canada, Germany, Romania, Singapore, China, Netherlands. I got them all over the world because we can generally have them do blood in their area where they live, especially if you're in the United States. It's very easy to find a lab to do the blood. I give you a list of tests that you need. You take it to the doctor. You say, hey, I want this blood work done. Or we send you to a lab nearby you, so they email me results of the blood. All the other tests, the adrenal test kits, the hormone test kits, the stools, those are all home-based kits. So I just mail you the test kit, and the lab emails me the results. And then we have our consultation once every 2 weeks. I tell you, what kind of dietary change to go through, what kind of supplements to purchase, what kind of vitamins and minerals, enzymes to get. And we follow up with you every 2 weeks. And we can do that just as effectively on the phone as we can in person. And in fact, it's actually more attractive on the phone because in LA here, you save so much time by not being on the road that I'd probably save you an hour or two in your day just by not coming to the office.
Oh my goodness, I know. My daughter lives in Tarzana. And,
that's where my office is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my office is in Tarzana.
Oh, she lives in Tarzana, and I, go to LA all the time to see her. And, I had cousins when we were growing up, that lived in LA. So I've always gone to LA and noticed the traffic. And I always tell her if we need to go anywhere, but she knows. I'm like, we have to leave at least 2 hours before we need to be there. I remember for her 21st birthday, was doing something in West Hollywood at the W Hotel, which is about 11 miles from where she lives, right? I had the GPS on. Took us 2 hours to travel 11 miles, but it was on a Friday night, but right. Still. So, that's very nice for the folks down in LA, Southern California, because being able to have access to you without having to travel into Tarzana, is phenomenal. That would make me want to just jump on it right away. Really, really phenomenal. Now, what is a trend that you're seeing now with your thyroid patients? Any specific type of trends that you're noticing with them, or anything you want to share with the listeners regarding that?
Yeah, two of them in particular. One is diet. As much as we have access to good food, we have even more access to bad food. Mm-hmm. And what's happening is people are letting their schedules dictate what they eat. Mm. Because they're so busy, they've got so much going on, they go for the fast food, they go for the processed food, they go for the easy meal. And you just can't get good food that has a label, right? Good food comes from, the ground, and it's lettuce, and it's tomatoes, and celery, and carrots, and animal proteins. And so people aren't eating as good as they could. And the food industry is trying to trick you into believing you're not eating bad with their marketing gimmicks, but the reality is it's full of pesticides and hormones and processed, chemicals and carbohydrates, and it's horrible for you. So that's having a huge impact on their thyroid function. It's having a huge impact on their gut, which is where their thyroid conversion occurs. They're having leaky gut, which is causing inflammation in their brains, so they're getting depression and brain fog and memory loss. And then on top of that, you add the stress, so they have these adrenal gland dysfunctions and having cortisol surges, which are throwing off their sleep patterns. And cortisol causes brain fog because it's toxic to the hippocampus. And the cortisol surges are also causing women to develop belly fat. Mm-hmm. So just those two elements alone are causing huge problems for their thyroid.
Wow. A wealth of information right within that, what all you just shared. And I see it, also, I know that you may have had an abundance, or surge, I guess is the correct word, of people coming to you or, are just coming to you that tend to be, suffering from obesity, which has, I think, increased dramatically, let me ask you this, because it's not only with adults, but I see a dramatic increase with children. Do you treat children?
I don't too much, because children don't have too much thyroid disorders. But, to be totally honest with you about the children, here's the bottom line, and I'm going to probably ruffle some feathers when I say this, but I'm the guy who tells the truth. Okay.
Go ahead.
If your child is obese and overweight, it's not their fault. It's your fault as a parent. It's what food you bring into the house and what places you go to let them eat. That's why there's childhood obesity. It's not them. It's the parents.
Thank you.
And so it's too difficult for me to treat kids because I can't control what they eat because the parents allow other elements to get involved.
Right. Okay, good. I know probably someone out there listening was thinking about that, and I wanted to get clarification on that because I think that's important, and I do see a huge problem. I totally agree with you 100%. It's the fault of the parent and not the child. And I also see a huge decrease in exercise that kids do. When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, we played outside. We ran, we were out for as early as we could get out and as late as we could stay out, and, riding our bikes, playing kickball, baseball, whatever games you make up when you play as a kid, right, growing up. And even in high school, I mean, I had PE. Well, I think I had it every year except for my senior year. These kids nowadays, I think they only have to have 1 or 2 years of PE, and it's so, so anyways, I'm getting off track, but I just agree. It's the parents, and, if you have children, they're your responsibility. And if you notice things are getting out of hand, little changes in the lifestyle would be, if you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Right. Now we're at the end of our show. So I want you, Dr. Kajiki, to share information, of how people can get in contact with you. What's the website address again? Any information that you want to share with the listeners out there so that they can connect with you.
Okay. Best place to go is my website, valleythyroidinstitute.com. valleythyroidinstitute.com. You'll find a wealth of information, but there's 3 areas that I want you to go to on that site. Number 1 is download the free thyroid report. It's a free report. There's no obligation for it. We're not going to sell your email address. You just put your name in your email. You get immediate access to this 11-page report. It tells you all about the thyroid tests that we do, the autoimmune component, and the triggers that we look for. So it really gives you a good feel for my style of treatment. Secondly, go to the free consultation. You get free 15 minutes with me. I'm giving 15 minutes of my personal time to tell you if you have a good case, if you have a good chance at success here. And it gives you a chance to get a feel for my style and my personality. We may not gel right? We may not get along well in that 15 minutes. Well, then you don't have to invest any more time into me. Right? And then if you don't have a good case that's successful, I'll let you know. I won't waste your time. I'll say, look, you do not have a good case. Maybe you should go to A, B, C place. And then thirdly, go to the patient testimonials. There's over 100 different people who were willing to put themselves on video to tell you about their success with me. And what you'll find is I categorized it by symptom. So you can find people who have the exact same symptom as you do, and that's the kind of success you could probably expect here. And I think that would be a good place to start.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Kajiki, for being a guest on Blissful Living and sharing your words of wisdom, your knowledge, your information, and your willingness to help and really connect with those out there listening that may need or want to connect with you. Thank you so much for doing that. Again, you guys out there listening, you can connect with Dr. Kajiki at valleythyroidinstitute.com. Please take advantage of the free report, the free consultation, and take a look at the patient testimonials. You don't have to think it's just him touting himself. You actually get to hear what other people experience while working with him. So please check out valleythyroidinstitute.com. And if you send an email or something, just say, hey, I heard you on Blissful Living. He would definitely appreciate that. And so I want to wish all of you peace to your mind, wellness to your body, and tranquility to your spirit. I want to thank today's sponsors, the Health, Healing, and Wellness Company, as well as All Day Cable, Inc. And I, again, want to thank all of you for tuning in each and every week to listen to Blissful Living. Hopefully you are getting lots of words of wisdom that's helping you to move forward on your path to bliss. This is Rochelle Marie Lawson, the Queen of Feeling Fabulous. And until next week, have a fabulous week, everyone, and goodbye for now.
You can find out more about Rochelle on her website, Rochelle Lawson, Rochele Lawson, Lawson, or at healthhealingwellness.com. Or just click on her websites from the webtalkradio.net page right in front of you. And of course, you'll want to come right back here next week for another episode of Blissful Living. Thanks for joining us.